For early geneticists, the mechanism that determined biological sex was unknown. Before we understood the architecture of the cell, there was no clear reason why a developing organism became male or female. The first major breakthrough arrived in 1891, when Hermann Henking began observing the cytological process of sperm formation, spermatogenesis, in insects. By tracing the divisions of the nucleus under a microscope, Henking noticed a specific nuclear structure that maintained its form throughout the entire cellular process. This diagram of spermatogenesis illustrates the mathematical anomaly Henking discovered. When the parent cell divides, exactly 50% of the resulting sperm receive this distinct nuclear structure, while the other 50% receive nothing. Henking labeled this isolated structure the X-body, as its ultimate biological significance was not yet understood. Subsequent investigations by other researchers resolved the mystery. They proved Henking's X-body was a distinct chromosome and permanently renamed it the X chromosome. This discovery created a necessary division in genetic nomenclature. Chromosomes directly involved in determining an organism's sex are classified as sex chromosomes, while all the remaining chromosomes are termed autosomes. Biological sex is not a random occurrence. It is the mechanical outcome of how these specific chromosomes segregate into a cellular blueprint. This leads to the mechanism of male heterogamety, where the male of a species produces two different types of gametes, or sperm cells. The grasshopper serves as the baseline for the XO system. The female chromosomal makeup consists of autosomes plus matching X chromosomes. The male possesses only one X chromosome besides autosomes. Lacking a second sex chromosome, his sperm carries either an X or no sex chromosome at all. Other species, including fruit flies and human beings, utilize the XY system. Unlike the XO system, both males and females in the XY system carry the exact same total number of chromosomes. On the right side of the diagram, you can see the XY setup. Females carry autosomes plus an identical pair of X chromosomes. The male set consists of autosomes plus one X chromosome and a distinctly smaller counterpart, the Y chromosome. Because the male produces both X-bearing and Y-bearing sperm, the XY system is another example of male heterogamety. In both XO and XY systems, the genetic variance of the male's gametes serves as the trigger for sex determination. We can see this trigger in practice by looking at the specific chromosomal arithmetic of human beings. Humans have 23 pairs of chromosomes. 22 of these pairs are identical autosomes in both sexes, leaving a single pair responsible for determining sex. Because a human female has two X chromosomes, every ovum she produces will carry an X chromosome. The male produces two types of sperm. Exactly 50% carry an X chromosome, and the remaining 50% carry a Y chromosome. If fertilized by an X-carrying sperm, the resulting XX zygote develops into a female. If fertilized by a Y-carrying sperm, the XY zygote develops into a male. Because of male heterogamety, every pregnancy carries an equal probability of a male or a female child. This statistical reality directly addresses a common societal misconception. Historically, women have often been blamed or ostracized for giving birth to female children. The male's sperm dictates the sex of the child. Blaming the mother for the sex of the offspring has no basis in biological fact. Male heterogamety is common, but it is not the only mechanism found in nature. In birds, for example, both sexes maintain the same total number of chromosomes, but the control mechanism is inverted. We designate the avian system with Z and W. The male bird carries a matching pair of Z chromosomes, producing only one type of gamete. The female possesses one Z and one W chromosome. This means she produces two distinct types of ova, Z-bearing and W-bearing. Biologists define this mechanism as female heterogamety. The trigger for sex determination simply depends on which parent carries the asymmetrical pair of sex chromosomes. The honeybee operates on a system that abandons the concept of paired sex chromosomes entirely. Sex determination in honeybees is based strictly on the number of chromosome sets an individual receives, a concept known as ploidy. A female bee, whether a queen or a worker, is a diploid organism, possessing 32 chromosomes. These females develop from the union of an egg and a sperm, each contributing 16 chromosomes. The male drone is a haploid organism, possessing only half the number of chromosomes, exactly 16. This occurs through parthenogenesis, where a male develops directly from an unfertilized egg, bypassing the fertilization process entirely. This is known as the haplodiploid sex determination system. Because the male drone is already haploid, his cells cannot undergo the standard reduction division of meiosis to produce sperm. Instead, drones produce their sperm via mitosis, maintaining their existing genetic count of 16 chromosomes. This genetic structure results in a specific family lineage for the drone. Because the male drone develops from an unfertilized egg, he has no biological father. And since he only produces sperm to create females, he cannot have biological sons. However, the drone's mother, the queen, had a father. This means the drone has a grandfather, and through his daughters, he can have grandsons. Whether determined by the variance in sperm and eggs, or the total count of chromosome sets, the biological sex of an organism is the result of these specific genetic triggers. When we examine any organism, the physical traits we observe, its physical structure and biological state, make up what is called the phenotype. But this physical reality is not spontaneous. It is built strictly according to an underlying sequence of DNA, known as the genotype. The connection between the two is absolute. The physical manifestation of the phenotype is dictated directly by the instructions written in the genotype. Take a look at these cells. On the left, we see healthy, round red blood cells. On the right, those same cells take on distorted, crescent-shaped forms. The contrast in physical structure is stark, and the biological consequences for the organism are severe. This raises a specific question. What mechanical failure causes a biological system to construct such a distorted structure instead of a healthy one? Because the blueprint dictates the build, any macro-level deviation in physical traits must originate from an explicit physical error located somewhere within the genetic sequence. In biology, this specific type of structural error has a precise name: a mutation. A mutation is a literal physical alteration to a previously established sequence of DNA. Alongside the process of genetic recombination, mutations serve as a primary driver of variation within DNA. If you observe a stable DNA sequence and a segment's geometry physically shifts, breaking the established pattern, the sequence is permanently altered. The moment this change occurs, the genotype is rewritten. Because the genotype changes, the organism's phenotype must adapt to the new instructions. The biological consequence of that mutation depends entirely on the physical scale of the structural error. To understand exactly how biological variations and diseases arise, we have to map these structural errors, starting from the macroscopic level and moving down to the microscopic level. We begin at the macro scale with the chromosome, the large structural body responsible for housing genetic data. Within that chromosome, we can isolate a single defined arm, known as a chromatid. Unwinding this chromatid exposes the exact architecture of how DNA physically exists within this space. What we find is a principle of continuity. One single DNA double helix runs continuously from one end of the chromatid to the other. To fit an enormous length of continuous DNA into this microscopic space, the strand is densely packed into a highly supercoiled form. Specific genes are physically mapped out along distinct locations across this continuous, tightly wound thread. Because the entire chromatid is effectively one unbroken string of information, any physical trauma to the chromosome immediately threatens massive blocks of genetic data. So what happens when a structural failure occurs at this macroscopic scale? One direct outcome is a deletion mutation. This is the total structural loss of a large DNA segment. In this scenario, a massive block of the supercoiled sequence literally breaks off and vanishes from the strand. Conversely, in an insertion or duplication, a new massive block of sequence splices itself into the continuous strand, injecting a vast amount of unprompted material into the code. Because entire genes reside on these lost or gained segments, these events lead to massive, localized failures in the organism's instructions. We define these massive structural shifts explicitly as chromosomal aberrations. Severe chromosomal aberrations are commonly observed in cancer cells. This demonstrates exactly how a large-scale error in the DNA architecture directly produces a catastrophic macrophenotype. But genetic damage does not require the destruction of entire chromosomal segments.
We can trace this logic down to microscopic unit errors. Here, we isolate the nucleotide base pair, the smallest individual rung on the DNA ladder. Profound biological variations can arise from altering just a single one of these pairs. This specific event is defined as a point mutation, a structural change occurring in one single base pair of DNA. In a point mutation, the ladder remains intact, but one specific base pair is cleanly exchanged for a completely different one. This singular microscopic substitution rewrites the localized genotype. This exact mechanic is responsible for sickle cell anemia. The distorted red blood cells we observed are the direct biological product of one single base alteration. A clean point mutation swaps a pair, but the geometry changes far more aggressively if a base pair is entirely removed or inserted. If a single base pair is forcefully removed, a gap is left in the sequence. To compensate, the entire sequence of base pairs downstream shifts over by one position. We call this structural cascade a frameshift mutation. By dragging the entire downstream sequence out of alignment, the original instructions are completely compromised. Even at this absolute smallest scale, a single unit error dictates a profound phenotypic change. The genotype-phenotype link operates rigorously at every level of magnification. This brings us to the forces capable of causing this damage. What actively causes a continuous supercoiled helix to snap, or a microscopic base pair to shift? These mutations are not strictly spontaneous biological accidents. They are often induced by external environmental factors breaking the DNA geometry. We classify any chemical or physical factors that actively induce these mutations as mutagens. These external factors can operate as invisible waves of high energy, physically striking and destabilizing the molecular structure. A prime example of a physical mutagen is ultraviolet radiation, which carries enough energy to disrupt DNA base pairs upon contact. The physical integrity of our genetic blueprint is constantly vulnerable to physical disruption from the outside environment. When we track the origin of any biological variation, the path leads backward from the observable trait to the physical architecture of the DNA. At the microscale, environmental mutagens trigger point mutations and frame shifts, breaking the code at the level of a single base pair. At the macro scale, the structural loss or gain of massive DNA segments fractures the continuous helix, causing chromosomal aberrations. In every scenario, an alteration in this physical sequence permanently rewrites the resulting genotype. Biological variation and disease, from the exact geometry of sickle cell anemia to the massive chromosomal errors found in cancer, are governed by the physical continuity of the DNA helix, bridging invisible molecular errors directly to the observable phenotype of an organism.